Thank you all so much for joining us today for the Ottawa Airport Authority Accessibility Plan Progress Report. This is our public consultation. My name is Ashlyn O'Hara Kell, and I am with ProHara, and we are helping assist the Airport Authority with their consultation process. Today, you will hear a welcome message from the airport. We will go over the division of responsibilities within the airport operations. We will provide an update on the purpose of the Accessibility Plan Progress Report. We will review the 7 key focus areas. We will provide an update on our progress, as well as our continued plan of action. And most importantly, we will turn it over to all of you to capture your feedback. I will turn it over to Sandra from Ottawa Airport for a welcome message. But first, I wanted to describe the image that is on the slide. This shows within the airport at the gate, it shows an accessible flight information display screen. This is to replace all of the screens that usually hang overhead. And now people using mobility devices can get nice and close to be able to read the flight information. And there are additional accessibility benefits for all other types of disabilities. Thank you. Over to you, Sandra.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for taking the time to be with us today. I want to thank Ashlyn and the ProHara team for helping the Airport Authority with its 2nd annual public consultation about accessibility. The Airport Authority is committed to delivering accessible and inclusive service to all travelers and community members. We have invited you here today to learn about the progress we've made in the last year regarding accessibility in our spaces, processes, and infrastructure. On June 1st, 2023, we published our first accessibility plan. This 3-year plan created the framework to make YAO one of Canada's leading providers of quality, safe, secure, and sustainable air transportation services. This June, the Authority will be publishing its first of 2 annual progress reports. We have worked diligently towards meeting many goals that we committed to last year. Today, we're proud and excited to share our progress with you. Whether you're a passenger, airport employee, community member with lived experience, member of a local disability advocacy organization, accessibility and inclusion professional, or any or all of these, we value your feedback. We welcome your comments, questions, and concerns, and look forward to receiving your ideas and insights to continue to drive accessibility in everything that we do. Thank you.
Thank you, Sandra. We will begin by outlining the division of responsibilities between the Airport Authority and its partners. The authority itself is responsible for curbside assistance to the check-in counter. They are responsible for the built environment, which includes signage, washrooms, seating, and much more. The authority is responsible for the website, yow.ca, and its corresponding social media channels. And the airport is responsible for all of the accessibility programs and services. other than providing passenger mobility assistance from the check-in counter to the gate and onboard the aircraft. That is done by our partners, the airlines. So the airport is responsible to assist passengers from the drop-off point at the curb to bring them to the check-in counter of their airline, and then the airline takes over assistance. Airlines are responsible for training their staff, which includes training on the safe stowage of mobility aids and devices. Other partners include our security screening, as well as our customs, and all of the food, beverage, and retail services that operate within the airport, as well as ground transportation, which includes public transit, OC Transpo, as well as taxis. So today we will be focusing on accessibility items that fall under the responsibility of the authority, not its partners. The Accessibility Plan Progress Report provides an update on the Ottawa Airport's progress since the publication of its first plan, which, as Sandra mentioned, was published June 1st last year. We're going to also update on the accessibility achievements and updates to the airport's commitments within the progress report. And lastly, the progress report will provide a continued plan of action to remove barriers. The progress report is part of the requirements of the Accessible Canada Act and the Accessible Transportation Planning and Reporting Regulations as part of the Canadian Transportation Agency. And those regulations specify the 7 key focus areas that are included in the accessibility plan and progress report. These include the design and delivery of programs and services, information and communication technologies, communication other than IT, the procurement of goods, services, and facilities, transportation, employment, and the built environment. So now we will provide you with an update on Ottawa Airport's progress in each of those 7 key focus areas, beginning with the design and delivery of programs and services. We have integrated accessibility discussions, commitments, and feedback into monthly management and department meetings in order to keep accessibility top of mind. We have set up an internal DEI committee and developed a DEI plan for 2024. We have formed an internal employee accessibility advisory committee, and we have joined the Hidden Disabilities Sunflower Lanyard program. This program allows people with hidden disabilities to wear a lanyard that has sunflowers on it to indicate to airport staff and its partners that they may need a little bit more time or a little bit more assistance. We have also trained both the employees of the airport and our partners. So any employees that are public-facing terminal staff have been trained on the Sunflower Lanyard program. We have begun exploring airport-wide GPS system options. These are apps, for example, such as Be My Eyes, which help support passengers and visitors who are blind or partially sighted. Okay, turning to our IT. We have upgraded our SharePoint system within our IT modernization project to enhance accessibility features. We have added accessibility requirements to software services and put policies in place to track IT-related accessibility requests. We have also initiated work on our new website, where we are aiming for full compliance with the AODA and the WCAG 2.1 level AA. And our rollout of our new website is expected soon, hopefully this summer. Under communication, we have shared the airport authority's commitment to accessibility, both internally and externally. We have conducted annual accessibility reviews of the passenger care response and emergency plans within the airport to ensure people with disabilities have been included. We have promoted the Hidden Disabilities Sunflower Lanyard program during Invisible Disabilities Week. We highlighted the Curbside Assistance Program during National Accessibility Week. We have updated fire, safety, and evacuation plans with procedures to ensure the safe evacuation of people with disabilities. We have also adjusted the font on emergency management documents for improved accessibility. And we have offered accessibility training to our public communications staff to make sure that we are putting out documents or social media posts or any other communications that are as accessible as possible. Looking at our procurement, so our purchasing, we have reviewed the authority contracts to ensure that they include accessibility requirements. So what this means is that any vendor or contracted service provider looking to work with the airport has to meet certain accessibility requirements. We have also updated our purchasing documents, for example, request for proposals, and our standard agreements with new accessibility language. We have updated our procurement request forms to include accessibility priorities. Okay, under employment, we have refreshed our job postings to encourage people with disabilities to apply. We have also hired the Director of Passenger Experience to oversee accessibility initiatives. And you heard from her during our welcome message. That was Sandra. And our board and specific employees have completed diversity, equity, and inclusion training. And that training has been integrated into onboarding for new employees, as well as refresher training every 2 to 3 years. Transportation. We completed a parking study to determine where and when the authority would expand parking. The parking study allows the airport to determine where best to apply their resources to maximize accessibility within the parking environment. We have also initiated implementation of DC fast chargers to be installed for public and commercial use near the cell phone lot, with accessibility standards considered. DC fast chargers help support electric vehicles. And we have incorporated accessibility standards for the power source in our parkade to be upgraded by the end of this year, which is the first step to implementing a bank of electric vehicle stations in the coming years, again, where accessibility will be included and the standards will be met. And lastly, looking at built environment, we have conducted monthly verification checks of our TTY telephone relay services to make sure that they are in operational order for public use. We have also installed 28 accessible benches throughout the terminal to allow people to rest at different points. And we have added tactile attention indicators to mitigate risk and alert people of potential hazards in the public area of our LRT space. We have confirmed accessibility compliance of 8 new flight information display screens in the gate area. That was one of the images we showed earlier that I described. And we have installed rails along the angled window wall on level 1 from the north end doors to the center doors to prevent people from having any head injuries and to increase overall safety. Now we will turn to our continued plan of action. So after the publication of this progress report, when it gets published on June 1st, just next month, here's some of the things that the airport will be focusing on working towards over the next year. This includes an accessibility audit of the public address system and sound system. We will ensure emergency floor wardens and response teams are aware of assistance requests. We will incorporate accessibility into our regular inspections. We will review the communications process for accessibility compliance. We will engage in an accessibility audit from a third party once the new website is finished to ensure proper accessibility functionality has been met. We will be looking at addressing accessibility and accommodations to ensure that they are incorporated into recruitment, onboarding, and employment. So this looks at improving our job postings and interview processes to make it easier to hire people with disabilities. We will also incorporate accessibility into our project planning and add closed captioning videos as well as alt text to our images that we put out publicly. And look at dedicating budget for new accessibility for signage and wayfinding. There are many more accessibility projects going on, but those are some of the highlights of what we'll focus on next year.